Díodh go léir. Smis an thola póla dochirtaí, uachtar an agus meoraní na hallscoile seo. Agus is cúis sé sé dú fáilte chorómh an le speisialta seo. Tá an seo nniu chun céilearú poblí dhéanú a ghaisce a dúla agenda go bhíh dionmar go cuasaí léon le coppla bliain an nuas. Le mór a bhéidir in na hallscoile atá, agus ácaid níos mó agus níos táhachtaí a ríist mar saoil héin. Go maiir is bhór céimeach dúr, agus cíim gachra armh sa téile tá rómh amach mar chéimithe de chud allscoil na Galway. My name is Paula Doherty, Deputy President and Registrar of the University, and on behalf of the University of Galway, I want to extend to you all a very warm welcome to this ceremony. It is a special day for all of us in the University. And from that perspective, I would just ask that when the ceremony is on and names are being called out, you do maintain silence. Out of respect for those who are graduating and put in the hard work and whose names deserve to be heard right across the hall throughout the ceremony. I want to start by introducing you to the various people who are central to today's events. To my left at the centre of the table is the President of the University of Galway, Professor Ciarán O'Hogarty, who presides over the ceremony. With him is Dr. Caroline Heary, who will open and close the formal part of the ceremony. Behind me is Professor Anne-Marie Groark, the Deputy Dean of the College of Arts, Social Sciences and Celtic Studies, who will present you, the students, to the President. And we are joined also by colleagues from the College who have played their part, both behind me and over to the left, in ensuring that you have been able to get to this stage and graduate from this university. I now hand over to the Students' Union President, Mr. Dean Kenny, who will make a commencement address, after which Dr. Heary will open the formal proceedings in Latin.
Díomh, a cóide céime a seilí agus a cuairtóirí. Chun fáilte rómh an lá bras speisialta seo agus tá an bhuíochas bheith an seo. Good morning, graduates, guests, parents, guardians, family, faculty, and thank you, Paul, for that introduction. Welcome to your graduation day. Today is a day that every one of us have talked about and looked forward to over the last number of years, and certainly at one stage or another, we've all thought to ourselves that we'd surely never make it, but look at us now. I'd like each and every one of you to just take a breath. I know that introduction tends to be a little formal, but take a breath, relax, and just say to yourself, I did it. Today is your graduation day. Over the course of the day, you'll be dragged this way and that to get in that picture and this picture to talk to that relative who wants to congratulate you. But at least for this hour and a half or so, know that it is all about you. You've all had great support, I'm sure, from all your friends, family, and lecturers over the course of your studies, but ultimately, this is your achievement. There will be many rounds of applause later on, but the one person you don't get to applaud for today is yourself. So I'd like you to take this opportunity, graduates of 2023, to put your hands together and give yourselves a very well-deserved bullibus. It is an immense privilege of mine to be given this opportunity today to speak at my own graduation, a privilege granted to me by definition that I was elected by my peers to this esteemed position earlier this year, something I'm still absolutely baffled by and hugely honoured by. And on this joyous occasion, I'm brought back to my very first lecture here in this university, on the top floor of that ivy-draped education building, Block G, in a classroom full of people I'd never met before from all corners of the country. We collectively had no idea what to expect, how to behave, or what to do. But all it took was one brave soul to take out the phone, throw it down the table and say, throw the Snapchats into that there, lads, we'll make a group chat. And I knew that we'd be all right. Because that's all any of us are really concerned about at the very beginning. It's about finding our community, our base, just making a few friends. For some of us, it may have taken days, weeks, months, and that's okay. But for myself and for the rest of those in the Bachelor of Maths Education, it took about a half an hour. And for that reason alone, I believe there's something really special about this place. We've all had very different experiences and struggles throughout our time here, but I think we can all agree that Galway is a place where we can all find a home, no matter where we have come from. Some of us enjoyed our experience here so much that we had to come back in August to do more exams. But anyways, just like there's something really special about this place, I also believe that there's something really special about this group of graduates sitting among us today. I'm sure it's something that's echoed year after year at speeches just like this, that this collection of individuals has endured hardships like no other. But I think in this somewhat packed Balliannon Hall, that sentiment certainly rings true. You all have had a university experience like no other. You've withstood a global pandemic when all teaching was made virtual almost overnight. Some of us have endured Zoom calls upon Zoom calls, home haircuts, pubs closing at 8 o'clock, lecturers trying to figure out how to unmute a microphone and to share a screen. We've truly seen some terrible things. We've gone through a name change, even though I imagine it'll be difficult for many of us to refrain from calling this place NUIG. And on a more sad note, we've still yet to see Mayo win an All-Ireland final. It's all right, I can say that, I'm from Mayo. For those of us that were here before 2020, we saw Galway in what I think of as the good times. We've seen the rise and fall of various beloved nightclubs and a big change to this city that we'll forever hold dear. We've made friends, enemies, drinking buddies, exes, study partners. We've had good times, bad times, great times, and of course those, Jesus, when's that due, times. We've had early mornings, late nights, 9 a.m. lectures, evening study sessions, endless assignments, Harvard referencing, placement, often unpaid, and online exams. It's also fair to say that some of us adapted better to those online exams than others. In the fashion of someone who was asked to speak at a graduation ceremony and didn't really know what to say, I'm going to refer to some poetry. I'm going to recite a shortened version of a poem called If by Rudyard Kipling, and it speaks to that resilient nature that we've all displayed throughout our time in college. I apologize in advance that it's written by a man to his son and is gendered as such. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all count with you but none too much, if you can fill that unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. I'm sure that many of you will go on to enjoy very successful careers within your chosen fields. Albert Einstein once said, "Education is what remains when one has forgotten what one has learned in school." Your degree that you'll receive here today is worth much, much more than simply a 1-1 or a 2-2. It represents that journey that you've embarked on since you entered here, whether that was in first year, as a naive teenager, or as a master's student, or whatever route you may have taken to be here today. Think of how far you've come, from that very first lecture here in Galway to the person you are today, surrounded by your loved ones, friends and family, about to graduate from this university. I know that Galway will always hold a very special place in all of our hearts, regardless of what extraordinary things we go on to achieve. But I ask you to keep that resilience with you, wherever you go in life, to follow your dreams, no matter how daft they may seem, and never be afraid to stand up for yourself and for your community, because you are quite simply incredible. To the parents and guardians and family here today, you should be incredibly proud of the person you're here with. They've contributed much, much more to this university than simply assignments and attending lectures. They've left a lasting impression that will not be forgotten hastily. To speak directly to you, the graduates in front of me, and I'll finish on this note. It says something about this group of people sitting here today that the university management had to wait until they were fully sure you're out the gap until they could make Rag Week official again. So wherever life leads you, hold your head high, stand proud, and never lose that resilience. Have a great night. Stay safe. I'm sure I'll see some of you in the skeff this evening. Gurmíl Machagat, agus Canary an Tailif. Slán.
Thank you, Dean. Pre honorables prizes Totake Universitas, Haec comitiae universitariae hudiae convocta sunt, ut quidem homines ad gradum academicum et ad diploma academicum admittentur. Eosque presentabit Professor Amory Gork.
Good morning. Pre honorabilis praeses totaque universitas. Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. Presento vobis hasce meas filias, filiumque meum, quas amnes scio tamoribus quam doctrina habiles, et idoneus esse, qui admittantur ad gradum doctoratus philosophiae, idque tibi fide mea testor expondeo totique academiae.
Ego auctoritate mihi concessa, et mihi ad gradum doctoratus philosophiae.
Melissa Bonotto. Melissa Bonotto is awarded a PhD in Sociology for research supervised by Dr. Carmel Devaney and Professor Caroline McGregor on an exploration of early intervention happening with preschool children with additional needs. Miriam Collum. Miriam Collum is awarded a PhD in Education for research supervised by Professor Jerry McGrourk on schools leadership and inclusion of learners with emotional and behavioural difficulties in primary schools. Maria Cullen is awarded a PhD in History for research supervised by Dr. Kevin O'Sullivan on Médecins Sans Frontières and Oxfam's International Humanitarian Relief Programme in the 1980s. Rosella Di Domenico is awarded a PhD in Psychology for research supervised by Dr. Dennis O'Hora, Dr. Jennifer McSharry, Professor Cathal O'Donoghue and Professor Mary Ryan on farmer and advisor barriers and facilitators to pro-environment water quality behaviours. Liam Alex Heffron is awarded a PhD in History for research supervised by Dr. John Cunningham on land hunger, memory and ideas of social justice within the community of Maugowna, County Mayo. Daniel Mazurek is awarded a PhD in German for research supervised by Professor Hans-Walter Schmidt-Hannesse on the interactions between science fiction, neuroscience, digital media, and advanced capitalism. Killian O'Murku is awarded a PhD in Education for research supervised by Dr. Cornelia Connolly on investigating the use of mobile learning and artificial intelligence in a mathematics learning centre. Gemma O'Callaghan is awarded a PhD in Education for research supervised by Dr. Cornelia Connolly on educational design research, constructing creativity in the computer science classroom. Cressida Passia is awarded a PhD in Psychology for research supervised by Dr. Ciara Gunning, Dr. Aoife Maria McTiernan and Dr. Jennifer Holloway on reviewing evidence and developing a tool to help practitioners support families in parent coaching programs. Marie Frances Sweeney is awarded a PhD in Classics for research supervised by Professor Michael Clark on intertextuality and identity in the Exegog of Ezekiel. Harry Tanner is awarded a PhD in Classics for research supervised by Professor Michael Clark on semantics in ancient Greek. Maza Uzalak is awarded a PhD in French for research supervised by Dr. Catherine Emerson, Professor Philip Dine, and Professor Zorika Dergovich-Jakismovich on the utopian ambivalence in the narratives of Aldous Huxley and Michael Houellebecq. Doctor of Psychological Science, Clinical Psychology. Presento vobis hasce meas filias filiumque meum, quos omnes scio tam moribus quam doctrina habiles et idoneas esse qui admittanter ad gradum doctoratus in scientia psychologica, idque tibi fide mea tester ac spondeo totique academiae.
Ego auctortata mihi concessit, miservosa gradus doctoratus in scientia psychologica.
Andrea Michelle Brown is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Anne O'Connor on exploring trainee clinical psychologists' experience of clinical supervision in an Irish context. Sarah Caulfield is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Kieran Sarma on the impact of childhood physical abuse and exposure to domestic violence on mother-infant bonding. Maria Bernadette Valentina Dillon is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Anne O'Connor on factors that influence stress and coping in trainee clinical psychologists. Rachel Flynn is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Professor Brian Maguire on self-compassion and its links to diabetes, distress, and self-care in adults with diabetes mellitus. Sarah Lawson is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Jonathan Egan, Dr. Fionnuala Larkin, University of Cork, and Dr. Emma Hayou-Thomas, University of York, on the exploratory study of how neurodivergent adults differ in their experience of psychological factors related to pain compared to neurotypical adults. Margaret McLean is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Anne O'Connor on the experience of attending psychological therapy for transgender and gender diverse individuals in Ireland. Megan McGinley is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Jonathan Egan on the relationship between childhood trauma and self-compassion with migraine severity in female migraineurs. Jennifer O'Shea is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Anne O'Connor on Everything to Everyone, exploring experiences of An Garda Síochána dealing with mental health difficulties among members of the public. Daniel O'Neill is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Caroline Heery on the association between sports participation and substance use in adolescence. Daniel Phelan is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Professor Brian Maguire and Dr. Helena Lydon on a pilot and feasibility study on sleeping soundly, a psychoeducational intervention to support caregivers of children with sleep problems. Doctor of Psychological Science, Clinical Psychology, Qualified Clinicians. Noreen Buckley is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Professor Brian Maguire on the factor, structure and validity of the negative adjustment scale in siblings in Irish children with disabilities. Genevieve Crosby is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Caroline Heery on the effectiveness and acceptability of the Tuning into Teens parenting programme. In absentia, Catherine Deneen is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Professor Brian Maguire on the surgical and psychological outcomes of bariatric surgery, results of a 3-year follow-up. Breege Heffernan is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Anne O'Connor on the association between parental burnout and the parent-child relationship, mediating role of parenting style. Lisa McMahon is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Professor Brian Maguire and Dr. Jenny Groark on a qualitative study of clinicians in their experience of supporting autistic young people with mental health needs. Tracy Parker is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Jonathan Egan on the opinions and experiences of adults with an intellectual disability, a mental health issue and behavioural difficulties. Carolina Razidia is awarded a Doctor of Psychological Science for research supervised by Dr. Jonathan Egan on Irish healthcare workers' defence-style strategies while coping with burnout in the Children's Disability Services. Honours Bachelor of Arts. Presento vobis hasce meas filias filiasque meos, quas omnes scio tam moribus, quam doctrina habiles et idonios esse qui admet anter ad gradum baccalaureatus in artibus, honora cursu confecto, idque tibi fide mea testor expondeo totique academiae.
Ego auctortata mihi concessit, mittavos ad gradum baccalaureatus in artibus honoro cursu confecto.
Jasmine Analuwapo Akwenuk. Lorcan Martin Barrett Gomez. Stephen Barry. Joe Battle. Francis Brennan. Anita Byrne. Sean Cameron. Fergal Cassidy. Kate Chambers. Ava Conmey. Derek Neely. Shauna Connell. Catherine Corbett. Katrina Neve Crowley. Rory Cullen. Quiva Curran. Adam Doherty. Connor Donnelly. Donica Dooley. Rhea Downing. Evan Duggan. Bernadette Giannina Gabriella Ernst. Julienne Uruje. Jack Fahy. Alex James Fenton. Niamh Fitzpatrick. Roisin Foy. Katrina Gumley. Niamh Hanley. Maeve Hannon. Kate Hardiman. Katie Heffernan. Seamus Thomas Henry. Circa Higgins. David Kavanagh. Grace Keegan. Maeve Kelly. Sean Kelly. Maya King. Juliana Manso. Rory McLean. Orla McDermott. Rachel McDermott. Kate MacDonald. Ryan Anthony MacDonald. Mark McGee. Peter McGuinness. Kieran McGurk. Katie McMahon. Dara McNicholas. Mark Mielia. Raelthin Melia. Kirsty Ann Morn. Nathan Patrick James Murphy. Colin Murray. Danielle Louise Nevin. Cleo Bethany Foglu, Gail Norton, Everdee Susie, Lan O'Connor, Lucy O'Connor, Orla Emer O'Connor, Rachel Mary O'Connor Middleton, Kiva O'Donovan, Evine O'Galvin, Lauren O'Grady, Grace Patricia O'Halloran, Grania Marie O'Halloran, Karina O'Halloran, Isabel Fleur O'Halloran Dooley, Killian Malachy O'Keefe, Lucy O'Mahony, Michael O'Malley, Anna Jean O'Neill, Owen Thomas O'Sullivan, Patrick O'Sullivan, Circa Kathleen O'Reilly, Brian Palmer, Luke Phillips, Lorna Reedy, Olivia Ronan, Ciara Scanlon, Harry Francis Slattery, Ruth B.S. Stade, Anna Talbot, Conor Walsh, Dara Ward, Francis Ward, Ethan Waters. Orla White. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Arts with Data Science, Rory Niall McLaughlin. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Child, Youth and Family Policy and Practice, Edel Flattery. Jenny Alexandra Gordon. Honours Bachelor of Arts with Children's Studies, Rihanna Carrick. Sophie Malhervey. Rachel Nestor Finnerty. Orla O'Reilly. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Children's Studies, Sophia De Luca. Rebecca Plummer. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Gohonrcha Lagaelga, Emma Jane Begley. Ella Honan. Adam Lennon. Brendan McGahan. Honours Bachelor of Arts with Creative Writing, Patrick Owen Byrne. John Vincent O'Donnell. Melissa Wazowska. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Digital Arts and Technology, Raitas Liakavikias. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Drama, Theatre and Performance, Tara Mackin. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Education, Computer Science and Mathematical Studies, Matthew Tierney. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Film and Digital Media, Charles Farrell. Alex McNeil. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Global Languages, Stacey Prendergast. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Government, Politics, Economics and Law, Michaela Brennan. Kiva Drum. Anna Kate Griffin. Laura Michelle McNulty. Honours Bachelor of Arts with Human Rights, June Abigail Gamble Harhan. Kayla Henderson. Tatum McGuffin. Honours Bachelor of Arts International, Molly Ashling Byrne. Kira Joanna O'Rourke. Roxanne Pirette. Honours Bachelor of Arts, Mathematics and Education, Tig Michael Doherty. Sandra Tysina. Kieran Farrell. Dean Kenny. Aisling Marie McGrath. Megan Walsh. Honours Bachelor of Arts Music, Ina Laugan. Honours Bachelor of Arts with Performing Arts Studies, Cathal Patrick O'Boyle. Honours Bachelor of Arts Psychology, Cian McHale. Eve Power. Honours Bachelor of Arts Psychology International, Leo O'Mara. Honours Bachelor of Science Applied Social Sciences, Presento vobis hasce meas filias quo omnes scio tam moribus quam doctrina habiles et idoneus esse qua admit anter ad gradum baccalaureatus in scientiae honorora cursa confecto idque tibi fide mea testor expondeo totique academiae.
Ego octar tata mihi concessa, admittavos ad gradum baccalaureatus in scientiae honoro cursa confecto.
Aoife Marie Healy. Kiva Ryan.
Per honorables prizes, Totaque Universitas, Haec Comitia Universitaria, hodie convocta sunt, ut quidem homine maxime, eximi ad gradas academicos, honoris causa admittentur, doctoratus in literis honoris causa clinicarni, presentabit Eva Burke.
A uachtarón, a winter na hoscala, agus a gwine úsla. Felicitations, everyone, on this joyful day. What a great day for everybody. I have great pleasure of introducing Eva Burke, but the only thing is that I don't know how to do it. She's a poet, a translator, a teacher, an advocate for anyone who's ever been vulnerable or lost or outcast or small, a champion of children, their natural creativity. Her life could be considered from this and from many other angles. She was born in Germany in the aftermath of the Second World War. She had a childhood full of music and loving brothers. She came of age, though, in a Germany that was roiling with the aftermath of the Second World War, with those dreadful years, and with their legacy. She went headfirst into everything. Nothing was lost on her. The seeds of many of the rich subjects of her hundreds of poems, many of them were sown during these years. How to be an artist in the wake of an atrocity. How to square poetry with justice. How to pay infinite attention to the minute, concrete details of a moment, of a feather of a cloud in the sheer sky, in her words, a stave of music, a wren seizing his chance, while also keeping an eye on the vast arc of European and even world history. If the personal had in some way been obliterated by the political, on both sides of the political spectrum, both the left and the right, as on the one hand bourgeois, on the other hand degenerate, then how on earth could somebody do the things that a poet does? Fall in love, listen to music, write a poem, go to the theatre. A whole generation of artists desperately wanted to know the answer. And Eva Burke was paying close attention to the urgent demands of this urgent generation. And so what brought her to Ireland? Cherchez l'homme, look for the man, and that man was Owen Burke. First a lecturer and then a professor of German here in this very university. They met in Munich, where they were both studying, and the rest is proverbial history. 3 children arrived, Gabriel, Miriam, and Benji. And when Owen was appointed to a lectureship in Galway, the young family moved west, as far west as they could possibly go, exchanging Mitteleuropa for Goluev, German for English, and all this in the 70s, when Ireland was a very, very different place. And in fact, Eva Burke was there at the inception of some of the processes that have reshaped Ireland and this city. If Galway, for instance, now has a great, rich culture of writing, and just because the day that's in it, I'm going to say writing by women, well, then she was there on those very first days. There in 1985 at the International Courch Festival of Literature, alongside other great women writers and friends of hers. If Galway's now a magnet for cultural visitors from all over the world, and the university testifies to that, well, she was there too at the beginning of that movement. She's immersed in her life in Galway City and in Ireland, but wherever she is, she's always on this latitude of poetry, an invisible line around the world that connects artists, writers, poets of all times, all places, other languages. Now for just a few details. Eva started to work in the German department here in this university as a teacher of German language and literature in the late 1970s. She was esteemed and beloved in equal measure. She went beyond the call of duty in all things. She held poetry writing workshops for her Irish students of German, telling them that actually it could be very freeing to write in a tongue that wasn't your own, in a second language. Beckett had said he wanted that too. He wanted not to have the too easy access. He wanted to be ill-equipped. It was a playground. You weren't reined in by the pedantic conventions because you didn't know them from your own birth. There was a poetry magazine produced by the students for their writing, Die Feder, the Quill, featuring their poems. There was a German language newspaper. There's the famous German play, still going strong. And all this extracurricular activity by students of German in this university. She was an inspiring and essential force in many of these movements. She had written in English herself long before. She had spent a year as a teenager in the US and was a fluent speaker and a writer in English. But still, it wasn't her mother tongue. And sometimes she was even asked, why don't you write in German instead? And of course, she has done so. But her 7 collections of poetry, I'm just bringing 2 up here, and there's an 8th in the pipeline of her acclaimed poems, the ones that have garnered her such an international reputation, they are all in English. Gonella, Spring in Henry Street, Litany for the Pig, The Latitude of Naples, Travels with Gandolfo, Piano, and most recently in 2018, the widely acclaimed, beautiful collection of poems, Seeing Yellow. She's a real artist, she loves art, but she's never precious. She also just as much loves the readers, the audience, the artists, and hence the many superb translations she's made of German poets into English and vice versa. With Green Ink, brought many Irish poets, some of them are in this very audience, including Vincent Woods, Rita Ann Higgins, Derek Mann, and more, to a German readership. And then she did the same for Moya Cannon in A Private Country. She's at least 2 acclaimed anthologies, one called Landing Places, which she co-edited with Borbalo Farago, was again an early instance of an appreciation for art, for writing by immigrants to Ireland. This is now well established, and their place is well established. And Fermata, with poet, playwright, and broadcaster Vincent Woods, was a joyful tribute to the place of music in poetry. Ava is a member of Aesthona. In 2020, she was awarded the prestigious Michael Hartnett Poetry Prize. This is a very joyful day for everybody here, and many congratulations. And it's a convention to think about one's own future on a day like this, to sort of try and see, how do I bring the knowledge, the wisdom, the craft, the science, the art that I have, how do I integrate that with myself? How will I integrate it with my future, with life, with my own values, with the world beyond? And when I think of Ava, I think, exactly, she embodies all of these questions. I can't tell the dancer from the dance. I can't separate the woman from the work. It's all of a piece. You have to see it in the round. The many artists, the many poets, the many writers and students over so many years from so many countries whom she's encouraged, nurtured, taught with infinite patience here in the German department, on the MA in writing, in Boston, internationally. All of these people, all the people she's translated, collected and edited, whom she's collaborated with, and whose student plays she's helped to stage, well, they know it. They know her worth. But even still, they couldn't possibly measure it. If you call to her house, as many have done over the years, there's always a stew on the hob, there's always a freshly made bed for a traveller, there's always a kettle boiling, flowers in the vase, a fire in the grate, back on the sound system, and almost miraculously, I don't know how it happens, without fail, there's the sound of a tapping keyboard in an upstairs study. Prae honorabilis praises, totaque universitas, praesento vobis, hanc meam filiam, quam sciotam moribus, quam doctrina habilem, et idoneum esse, qui admitator honoris causa, ad gradum doctoratus in literis, idque tibi fide me testor expondeo, totaque academiae.
Ego
Ava
octartata mihi concessa, admitto te ad gradum doctoratus in literis honoris causa.
Prae honorables praeses. Ceremonis rite confectes finem ceeso facias huie convactinas universitaria. I'd like to invite Ava Burke to say a few words.
This has a tendency to slip off. Good day. First of all, before I begin, I want to congratulate you all for your incredible academic achievement. It's wonderful. Dear President and dear colleagues and friends and you graduates and my children and friends over here. First of all, a great thank you to you, Liana, for your warm and wonderful introduction, and also my heartfelt thanks to all those who chose to award me this unexpected honor. I consider this doctorate particularly treasured distinction, coming as it is from the institution I had the great fortune to be working in for years. And after a glance at names of honorary doctors in the past, I'm doubly honored and delighted to share this recognition with people whom I admire and whose work I love, like Nelson Mandela, Martin O'Connor, musician Catherine Corliss, Sharon Shannon, Mary O'Malley, Bob Quinn, among them. And I say this with mixed feelings, mit einem lachenden und einem weinenden Auge, a tear and a smile, because my husband Owen is not alive to see this, and because no one would have been more thrilled than my beloved Ono. Allow me to go back in history a little here. I arrived in Galway in the 70s with Owen, who was to start out in a teaching position in the German department at University College Galway, as the university was called then, and our 3 small children. Over time, Galway became home to us, the students and the university playing a central active role in our lives. The children recall the campus as a great adventure playground. They explored the natural history collections, the glass cases of stuffed birds and jars of specimens in formaldehyde. They were fascinated by the huge whale bones on display in the hall of the university. Although sheep were grazing in the fields just beyond Distillery Road, UCG was a maritime place with the sea just around the corner and some of the teachers looking like mariners, trailing a bow wave as they strode full sail down the corridors. It was also a place of experiment, openness, and friendship. There was excitement in the air, an atmosphere of embarking on new adventures of scholarship and education, and I trust there still is, despite profound social and administrative changes and the expansion of student numbers and the campus itself. And coming to Galway was a physical and psychological relief to me after supercharged, hectic years in Munich. It allowed me time to slow down, to reflect, and it afforded me the necessary stillness to write. One of my brothers, after a visit to Galway, called Ireland the great green tranquilizer pill. I've always thought with gratitude of those early years in Galway. But my fledgling literary attempts would never have gotten off the ground if it hadn't been for the encouragement and nurture from the community of poets I happened upon on arrival in Galway, some of whom have become dear lifelong friends. So my deepest thanks goes to the poet friends of those years and still today, Rita Ann Higgins, Moya Cannon, Mary O'Malley, Michael Gorman, and Vincent Woods, over here, without whom I wouldn't be standing here. And perhaps it was foolish to choose poetry of all things. It's a strange business. All those short lines, all that empty space on the page, except for a few words that seem to be swimming against the void. A practical hobby like beekeeping or some other pursuit that makes money might have been better. So why poetry? Why such a lonely project, sitting in your workroom, putting pen to paper, making this repeated scratching sound like a solitary cricket in the night? I can't give an answer, except that in my case, poetry had been there all along, in my childhood and youth, and also because perhaps writing poems is a way of speaking into silence and listening for a response, whatever that might be. Paradoxical, bewildering, enlightening. And when the response does come, the feeling is literally indescribable. Therefore, it must be translated into short lines of words and phrases arranged on a blank page. Those lines, rhymed or free verse, run-on or stanzaic, are addressed to someone, are part of a dialogue with a reader, without whom they wouldn't exist. This is the magical, alchemical reaction of poetry, the transfiguration of a few carefully arranged words into shimmering melodic epiphanies in the reader's mind. Or at least you hope so. Writing a poem is an adventure. It's like casting off on an unknown sea. One must love contingency and puzzlement and the odd flash of vision. Like the process of learning, which does not come to a standstill the moment you're on a podium in your cap and gown and are handed a well-deserved certificate of academic achievement, it is never ending. I'm aware that it's a cliché to talk of challenging times. Which times were not challenging? But it seems to me that this present generation of graduates, you, in fact, are faced with almost insurmountable problems, whichever direction one looks. Climate change, terrible wars, the so-called refugee crisis exacerbated by these wars and climate change, the impact of devastating pandemic, and the digital technology created by us, which threatens to get out of hand. Now, more than ever, it is essential to stay ahead of the problems we ourselves have caused and the machines we have thought up that already dictate to us what to like and what to dislike, what to think and when to stop thinking. Those machines can't dream, but they can lie in the service of some demagogue or ideology. So you need to keep informed and questioning, curious and able to tell the truth and lies apart. You are privileged to have been given an education that can enable you to think for yourselves, to be open-minded. No previous generation has enjoyed such material and educational opportunities as you have. It's important, however, to remember that not all have been extended the same privilege, and that it is also in your hands to help improve the lives of those less lucky than you by putting your energy and expertise to work in the service of peace and human rights, social justice, acceptance of diversity, or devising ways to help mitigate the effects of climate change. No matter where you find yourselves in the future, in whatever profession, career, office, this is a dream you should hold on to. It will take courage. It will require new ideas, flexibility, tolerance, steadfastness, imagination. But it will also offer multiple and wonderful experiences and rewards. You might be met with a lack of understanding or outright hostility from some quarters, and you might not always succeed. Don't let this discourage you, but keep in mind and adopt as a lifelong motto Beckett's maxim, ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better. Thank you.
So that concludes the formal ceremony today. And the President will shortly make his address before you go out for light refreshments in the Human Biology building, which is located to the right as you exit this building. Before that, I would ask you to join me in thanking those people whose hard work and professionalism ensure that a ceremony such as this runs smoothly. And in particular, Brona Clifford and the Conferring team, as well as Tara Layden and Academic Registry. In addition, let me thank staff from the Buildings and Estates Office, the President's Office, administrative staff from the college and school offices, audiovisual staff from the Centre for Excellence in Learning and Teaching, the Marketing and Communications Office, agus an Chervish Astrachan. You can see there are a lot of people involved in making this a successful day, and I'd ask you to join me in thanking them all. And to you, the graduates, I'd just like to say, go now, make the most of the qualifications you've gained and of the life ahead of you. Buinigi Sultan Yawainus and Laatan Yuan, Achas an Taylor tá roimh amach chomh. I would now like to introduce the President of the University of Galway, Professor Ciarán O'Hogarty, whose speech will conclude the ceremony.
Gur mí mágat fólagus mí le bhillig as bheithan seo mí anna bhhaictíh agus anna bhródúil as a bhar an lá anna háchtach seo. Today is a day where we come with an attitude of gratitude, and you all came up and without fail said thank you. And that always strikes me as a great start to the day, but also that you shouldn't be thanking me, I should be thanking you. So thank you, Gur Mahagav, Élig as an obair tá déanta goibh as bhelling inniu agus as an saoile tá roimh amach. So thank you for, first of all, studying with us here at the University of Galway, for staying the course, not without its challenges we know, and for being with us today, because this is a really important day for us. As you might realise, this is the day when tá Rahamór an Tíd a Casa Ríis. We're finishing off a semester. It's week 12 of the semester. Exams start over the next couple of weeks. And it's a very nice way to welcome yourselves, first of all, but also to note that our students and the university life continues. But you are now our graduates, and you're a very important part of the fabric of this university. And we're very grateful to you for being with us, not only today, but on this journey, and for choosing to study with us, to stay the course, and to be with us today. Grimmin Mahagav agus Gorgádagus Illig. And we should also thank others who contributed. We know that our students, now our graduates, have good times and bad, happy times and sad. We know that life, and nobody lives a life in straight lines, and that when our students need support, when they need people to celebrate with them and to support them in difficult times, they have people who are fans, friends and family here with us today. Those who are with us online, those we must also remember with us in spirit. Gurmín Margavillig, Shiv Shifreshen, as an Takik Tatoka Gwiv, Dar Scholari, Dar Game Henu. Thank you all very much also for the support you've given to our students in happy times and sad, good times and bad. Gurmín Margav, thank you. And when you say, coming up, say thank you to me, I often think not only should we thank you, but thanks are not due to me, but to my colleagues. So I sometimes get the opportunity to thank our colleagues, and this is one of them. So I'd like to thank all our colleagues, professional support staff, academics, colleagues, academic staff and technicians, all those who make this university the university it is. We've had challenging times, we know, and some of this challenging times you've lived through those challenging times with us, as Dean has mentioned. So Gurmín Mahagavillig as an obair tá déanta goibh Arcan na Hullscoile, Shiv Shan Ulscoil seo, na céimethe tá going inniu, na Scoláirí tá going le ling an lei, agus an éireann atá ling an seo, agus tá san Ulscoil a gotain. Gurmín Mahagav, thank you all very much. Thank you. And finally, thanks to our honorary graduate, Eva Burke. We honour very much in our honorary degrees those who make a contribution which are consistent with the values of this university. And the passion that she was presented to you with, and the passion and wisdom with which she herself spoke, I think speaks itself volumes. And I'm particularly pleased that we are valuing today somebody who represents those values of respect, openness to others, openness to new traditions, new ideas, openness to new cultures, excellence in everything that we do, and sustaining communities, sustaining ourselves and others through our work. So Gurmín Mahagav Éva, Sin Brishin Harna Blita. Thank you very much. And when I was contemplating what I'd speak about today, I like to think of something new every year so that colleagues who are here, yourselves who maybe have been with us before, can hear something different. And I was inspired for today by an event we had here on campus on Tuesday, which is actually very fitting not only for the ceremonies in general, but for this one in particular. We had the launch of the newest sculpture on campus, which is Murmuration by Nicola Anthony, and we have a representation of it on screen. It's in the O'Donoghue Centre, which is just on the left as you go out. Many of you have studied there in your studies. And it's based on a work, a project called Ashtrew, which was looking to translate, first of all, two art forms into one another, bring them together if you like, but secondly, translate from one language to another. So again, it's particularly fitting today that this is the representation we have. And it's based on a poem by our colleague in Irish Studies, Professor of Irish Studies, Louis de Puer, one of our leading poets, as we know, in Irish, as Gaeilge. It was then, Nicola Anthony was then asked to convert this into a work of art, a work of sculpture, which I'll talk about after I read the poem. So I'll first of all, if you stay with me, read the poem. Le me as Gaeilge ar dúis, mar sin an tangan ar shriach a dosach ar monus, agus an sin as Berle. The translation is by Louis de Puer himself. I would comment that very often we don't give translators enough credit for the work they do. It's particularly in poetry, particularly challenging work, and to capture in another language the essence of a poem, but representing it in that language rather than as a translation word by word is also always very challenging, but in poetry in particular. So the translation is by Louis himself, Gudín Berle. So the as Gaeilge tan teditar an dan na dine úsle le Louis de Puer. Chráidin an éfa carhan a draf mar war crummel dre an Chanakis loistín da chapa le santar aglishe tá bulla spísrí san air a kirk fuir a guile céile dé. Tá port fadóig ag séide as bullag an Chanwalia anál na stara isteach tre ali fura yeshkart Connemara. A lár an énig lena súla bó tá ban on Romáin in na sí le gata maníise an tépéil. Carta mór foin am winéil mar bheith pacamarfa ka adwal eki a láthar na vírain. Ladies and gentlemen, a Darren Fanarcht Quail, it ní scrufi nís tapúla I da nochtach sí cíach ná géig haisce. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Tá an cupa polystyrene ó sa cór I curthar muil le deavein an ara dili agus curt, sick. A guile ag ceol le huckras. Agus Nashtricon, the translation by Louis de Puer himself. Ladies and gentlemen, on the holy streets of the city of the tribes, where legend has it that Cromwell stabled his horses in the sanctuary of a church, there's a smell of spices in the air that would whet the appetite of God's wife. A tin whistle tune blows from the belly of the old town, the breath of history through the cold walls of South Connemara. In the middle of the market, with her cow eyes, a Romanian woman sits at the gates of St. Nicholas's, a placard around her neck, as though she were admitting a mortal sin before the elders. Ladies and gentlemen, says the scrawny handwriting, and we wouldn't pass her any quicker if she exposed a breast or a withered limb. Ladies and gentlemen, please. The polystyrene cup at her feet is filled to the brim with the best wishes of the Minister for Justice, sick, her stomach singing with hunger. And then when Nicola Anthony was asked to translate that, she represented it as a murmuration of birds. And you may be familiar with murmurations, but if you see one in full flight, it's a magnificent, something you'll never forget. Thousands of birds, mainly starlings, undertake murmurations, most likely on summer evenings when the wind is down. And they swoop from one side to the other, following each other in patterns. Thousands of birds swinging from one side of the sky to the other, following each other in very precise patterns. And why did Nicola Anthony represent this poem as that murmuration? Because she said these are emergent behaviours. This is society passing the unseen, the unknown, the unheard by, as in the poem. And these are behaviours where we can go with the flow or follow the crowd, or we can decide to take stock, to challenge ourselves in that context. So this is a coming together of art, two forms of art, different forms of representation, very familiar to yourselves. But it's also a challenge, very familiar to yourselves, particularly as we read out the PhD topics, very much looking at people whose lives are on the margins, people who are not part of this broader emergent behaviour. And I think it's very important for us as the University of Galway that we represent this here today, that you are the graduates who will leave this university with that coming together, we hope, that challenge to yourselves of bringing together various forms of representation, whether it be poetry, art, writing, literature, whatever it may be, that you have that responsibility to bring to have that coming together, but you also have that responsibility to pose that challenge. And I'd point out three things from the sculpture which I think is particularly interesting to me. One is that each of the birds has the words of Louis Dupre's poem in Irish etched on its wings. So there's the representation of the poem through this murmuration. There is one bird, as you may see, which we've captured in the photograph, which is aside, not part of the murmuration itself. And thirdly, not that well represented, but you can see the shadow of the sculpture on the wall, Con sé Scoil, an Fala, an Urla, an Sheila, an Solas, Rihin Leinu, Stihin, or Solas Lasta. So it casts a shadow on the wall, the ceiling, the floor, wherever the light sets it. And that to me poses for you 3 challenges. What word will be etched on your wings as you set off today? Will you be that single solitary bird which challenges the murmuration, which is not part of that flow, that emergent behaviour? And thirdly, as this university casts its shadow, what shadow will you cast? What impact will you have on the world, whatever way the light goes? What impact will you have on the world as you pass from here today? And when I mentioned to Nicola Anthony, the sculptor, that I was going to talk about this today, she was particularly pleased, and she added a punchline because she said, yes, and they'll be like the birds leaving again the university. So this is a poignant day for you, a challenging day, a very important day. We know that life has not been in straight lines very often, but we also know that this poses for you a challenge, an opportunity to bring together, a coming together of various art forms, a coming together of life itself, but also an opportunity for challenge, for setting forth what you will do next. And what words will be etched on your wings? Will you be that single bird who's not part of the ebb and flow of life? And that's valuable in itself. And what shadow will you cast? And going back to where I started, you may know that this is the week, yesterday in fact, but the week of the 60th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and he's always good for a quotation. And one of those that is attributed to him is that we live gratitude not through our words, but through the lives we live. So you all said thank you today. We have an attitude of gratitude. It's a really important day for us that we celebrate the work you've done, the work we've done together. But as we say and have that attitude of gratitude, as we say thank you, we also wonder how will we say it not only in words, but how we will also express it in our lived lives. And I hope for the future that you find that opportunity, you find that challenge. There's a particularly important role that you play, that art form plays, that writing, poetry, the work you do, education, all of the work you've done as PhD students and otherwise, particularly important role that plays in society now more than ever in challenging and speaking up for those who are dispossessed, those who are left behind, those who are quiet, those who are unseen, those who are vulnerable. And you have that opportunity. It's a great privilege and a great responsibility at the same time. But express that gratitude not only in words, but through the lives you live. Thank you.